Close your eyes and imagine with me for a second. You just finished the main story of Pokemon Scarlet or Pokemon Violet. Handled all the paradox, time travel shenanigans. Now you're working on completing the Pokedex. You've got 100 Pokemon left, and you remember that as you were exploring Paldea, hunting titans, beating gyms, and fighting bullied kids who became bullies, you had seen a few of these ominous stakes. Maybe 2 purple ones, an orange one, a yellow one. You don't really care, you don't really think about it much, but you remember this now that you're completing the Pokedex, and you look it up. And you find out that there's 8 of these stakes attached to 4 doors, 8 stakes per door. And after finding the first 8, you go down to the southern region, and it tells you that you've heard a cry coming from said door. And Google assures you that one of 4 new legendary Pokemon has just been unlocked for you to catch. Perfect for your Pokedex. So, out comes Wo Qian. These 4 Pokemon are Chinese, and they make sense, so there's no need to freak out. So Wo Qian, Chiyu, Qianpao, and Tinglu have a dark history in both the real world, and they were perfectly crafted for the Pokemon world to match their shared dark type. So let's talk about why they're in the Pokemon equivalent of Spain. Before we start in on what these Pokemon even are, let's kind of focus on how anybody's intended to discover this on their own, like in-game. These ominous stakes cover 4 of the various areas of Paldea, and I probably in my playthrough found 6 of them. I didn't even realize they were connected. I went straight to Google thanks to a friendly stream chatter who told me that there are in fact more legendary Pokemon. And after Googling it and finding them, I was also told that this chick, the history teacher, Rayford, is the one who gives you the brief history lesson on what these Pokemon are. In the 4th history class, which is just after the history midterm, so you actually have to try to get there, she tells the class about a Paldean legend. There once was an ancient king of Paldea who loved to collect treasures from other lands. So one day a merchant from the east comes to Paldea with 4 treasures. Some wooden tablets, which were like the paper substitute at the time because of how long ago it was, like 2,000 years before Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take place. A sword, a vessel, and some beads. The king bought them immediately, and he treasured them for an entire evening before his castle was mysteriously destroyed that very night. Rafer is unfortunately cut short, but if you seek her out in the Academy halls, she'll finish the story and reveal that the 4 treasures became Pokémon that were corrupted over the years due to the king's greed. Because of this, the king had his strongest men create barriers and cages to hold the Pokémon in, like a seal. She reveals that they're real and not just legend, and she marks the shrine locations on your map. Because who's better to hunt down ancient, legendary, ruinous Pokemon than the 10-year-old that you met 4 classes ago? So they were created by this greed and darkness in the King of Paldea's heart. This is why all 4 of the Pokemon have the dark type, the new attack Ruination, and abilities surrounding them as ruinous beings, like Ruinous Blade, which lowers all other Pokemon except for this Pokemon's defense. But let's dig deeper into what these Pokemon may be before we just write them off as cool-looking evil Chinese Pokemon. Based on the myth and legend we have access to for these 4 monsters, just in this first 2 weeks and what we know about them in the game, we can say that, if anything, they have a tiny amount of inspiration derived from the 4 symbols, 4 gods, 4 guardians, or 4 auspicious beasts. This is a constellation sign in the Chinese sky. I'm pretty quick to write this off as a heavy inspiration because it also seems silly to base another quartet off of the 4 symbols, since the Weather Trio, which is now a quartet because of Legends Arceus and Namorous, is already doing a really good job of reflecting this down to the exact creatures for each of the 4. The tiger with Landorus, the bird with Tornadus, the turtle with Enamorous, and the dragon, kind of, with Thundurus. It's a great skeleton to start the creation of the embodiment of hate and greed in a Chinese shell, though. So, another thing of interest that I can't explain at all is that each of the Ruined 4 have human names. They don't have the classic portmanteau or quirky Pokemon name or similar I'm a firefish kind of thing going on, that like every Pokemon or legendary Pokemon seems to have. They've got like the type null thing going on. Theoretically, it could be because there's a myriad of emperors that were, in quotation marks, wicked throughout the history of China, but I couldn't find anything concrete. So maybe that'll be revealed in the future. Maybe in a China-based Pokemon region, there will be Pokemon emperors, bad guys that were named Chi-Yu, Qianpao, Wo-Qian, and Ting-Lu. And those are like your Team Rocket fight, like a Legends game. You know, that would be really cool, actually. Anyways, let's move on to Ting-Lu. The darkness and ruin that created Ting-Lu, which is a dark ground type deer of some sort, maybe a moose, is based on the fear of the people in Paldea. Within the design of the Pokemon is the vessel, which is a ding. I think that's how I say that. It's a ding is an ancient Chinese cauldron that was used for a myriad of things, but it can be assumed that this ding was used in ritual, making offerings to the wicked Paldean king. Ting-Lu has the ground type alongside the fear-fueled dark type, which is obvious why it has the dark type. The ground type perhaps is a way to match the vessel Pokemon with the grounded and fear-filled peasantry that created the Pokemon Soul. This is one of the four that is much more based on Chinese designs, although all four are mashes of Japanese and Chinese ideas of dark spirits. So looking at Wo-Qian, we can see more of the Japanese influence. Wo-Qian is the spirit of hatred from someone who is forced to document the king's crimes on the tablets, which is making up a lot of its snail-like body, which is why it's a grass dark-type Pokemon. It kind of looks like a mountain, a small one, and in this mountainous snail design, it is much more similar to the Japanese idea of a kami, which are spirits that are often corrupted and become the embodiment of a concept, just like these four ruined mon. Kami are also often sealed away, like Wo-Qian and the boys were. It makes sense for there to be licks of Japanese inspiration within the lore because Game Freak is, you know, a Japanese company. I can't really tell how the snail's body, as in like it actually being a snail, is connected to like the anger and hatred inside the scrolls and documents that curl around its body. But if we close our left eye and tilt our head, we might be able to say that it became a snail to reflect the slothful crimes of the king, because snails are slow. And the grass could be because of the wood in the scroll-like tablets, but also the invasive property of many plants in the world and how the king was acting as an invasive species in his own country. Let's open our left eye back up, untilt your head. Let's look at the firefish. Chi-Yu is the opposite of the normal idea of goldfish. Normally, goldfish are a sign of good luck, and that, comboed with the jade eyes that Chi-Yu has, could make it some sort of good luck and good wealth charm. Of course, considering how the other two have been created so far, it's safe to assume some inward hatred fueled the beads that created this Pokemon. This is the final Ruinmon in the Pokedex, so maybe this was the Mon created out of the king's knowledge of his own crimes, since the beads would probably be on him as a good luck charm all the time. So his own inability to face his crimes, the fire that consumed his own heart and soul, created this little goldfish. And it's so small because the darkness had consumed the king enough for him to feel numb to his own hatred. That's a crazy theory and has no base anywhere, so that is all probably not true. The Pokedex refers to Chi-Yu. The envy accumulated within the curved beads that sparked multiple conflicts has clad itself in fire and become a Pokemon. So it could be that the beads were held by a royal court member or an underling, and the jealousy clouded the beads in flames. Also, just fun fact, in French, Chi-Yu is called Yu-Yu, and I think that's cute. Qianpao is different. It's hard to know for sure how the ice and snow fused with the dark sword that created the fangs. The others kind of make sense. Actually, the firefish one didn't really make sense either, but the grass and the plates, right? The tablets are wood, that's grass, right? the ground and the vessel made out of like metal, and it causes quakes. It's got the big crack in it. Chen Pao is ice and a little leopard guy, and also a saber tooth with swords for teeth. I don't know. According to the decks, it's fueled by the souls of those who perished long ago. But the Pokemon casually, innocently even, jumps in and out of snow, fall into the ground by avalanches it causes. Chi Yu and Qian Pao are unique compared to Wo-Qian and Tinglu, where they have like this sense of casual terror, with Qian Pao creating these avalanches that it jumps around in for fun, and Chi Yu creates rivers of lava with flames in its core which burn over 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's crazy. Qian Pao's blades may be fueled by the souls of the dead, but it seems like the snow leopard body might be unaware of the trouble that the blades are causing. Not very hateful like for the ruined Pokemon. It's difficult. It's so difficult to pin down. It could be based on the Baihu, the aforementioned white tiger of the west. But considering Landorus Therian form is already inspired by that, I'd assume there would be some other idea or form of inspiration behind our little ice weasel. When researching little white weasel guys and China, I came across some controversy involving white mink farms, and I'm very doubtful of that being the inspiration. But the dead souls of many in the blade of this Pokemon and the cute unaware disposition of the Pokemon, I don't think so, but who knows, Pokemon could be getting edgier. This is easily one of the coolest groups of legendary Pokemon. Their battle theme is incredible, and they have awesome designs that just beg to just dig in. Like, research me please. That was written all over those tablets on Wo-Qian. I personally would love for this to lead the next Pokemon games to be a region based on China. Although, considering the region Caparaja is originally from still isn't a physical region in the games yet, after being referenced for 2 regions now in the Pokedex, I wouldn't get our hopes up. I don't think that if we get DLC that goes back in time or forward in time, that we won't see more of them though. We definitely, if the DLC somehow goes back and forward in time, I think we see more of these ruinous legendary Pokemon, or at least their lore, hiding in the background somewhere. And if not, maybe our next Pokemon Legends game might have some small references to an ancient Paldea. Like the guys in Hisui, who are from Alola and refer to Alolan Vulpix as Kyokyo. It could just be something as simple as that. Who knows? So, as I end things off, let's just vibe to the Ruinous Quartet battle theme, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're doing Pokemon content until all the Pokemon content has been contented. And that includes looking into these guys more the second we have more information. That work? That worked. Okay, we got new information. Kind of, a little bit. I haven't been in this video at all physically. I'm the guy who made this. So, the Ruinous Quartet, who I've been talking about for the last 13 minutes in this very lazily edited video, but that's because I kind of just wanted to talk about them and get it out as fast as possible, because I was like, I know there's going to be something that comes out. Something came out, kind of. They're 2 theories, but they are pretty legit, from what I can tell. Now, the first one is the least dark, sorry, I'm reading the Wikipedia. The least real, that doesn't have as much meat behind it. But basically, the theory is that Koraidon might be the king who was wicked in the past. Not the Koraidon that you're best friends with the entire game, but maybe the one that beats that Koraidon up and forces it to be in ride form for the whole game. That could be that. But also, because Koraidon is referred to as the Winged King in, I believe it's Pokedex, like it's the Winged King Pokemon. So, Koraidon from the past causes these Pokemon to exist, right? Which means that we might get future ruinous Pokemon eventually, Miraidon, but who knows? Or if we go back into the past at all in DLC, there's a lot of things that could add up to. Another thing, these Pokemon are not based on the 4 auspicious beasts, 4 symbols. but they are the evil opposites of them. So the forces of nature, who I accidentally called the Weather Trio in this, and these, the Ruinous Quartet, are based on the four symbols and the four perils, which I'm surprised I wasn't able to find in my original research. But the four perils are a group of Chinese malevolent beings, and they are straight up the antagonistic counterparts of the four symbols, the four auspicious beasts, right? The four warriors, the four guardians. And they're based, like, there's one called Gong Gong. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. And it's like the disastrous god. There's one that's a fish, and it's literally just called Big Fish. It's you, and it creates like a dam that breaks or something. So like a lot of that, but also, what's the fish called? You. What is our fish called? Chi-Yu. So, I have no idea how I wasn't sure that Chi-Yu meant like you meant fish. I just completely wrote that off. But yeah, so that's everything. Isn't that crazy? That's awesome that I missed all of that, but also that I didn't release the video until I found this. So I'm really happy about that. Anyways, I hope you all like this. I hope you made it this far so that you don't go into the comments and type, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't know this. It's on the Pokemon Bulbapedia Wikipedia thing." I hope you see this, and if not, well, that's on me for not going and redoing the entire video. See ya.